A disclaimer for this episode. This episode of Nightmare Nobodies will be interrupted quite frequently and often by roofers. Thank you. Good evening, residents, and welcome to this episode of Nightmare Nobodies. My name is Timothy, and I'm joined by my friend Sam as we get together and discuss horror movies. Find a seat as we begin the gathering. Hello!
Hi!
How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I will be interrupted by the roofers. But I'm fine. I love a good surprise roofer visit.
Is there any other kind in your house?
No! Not that I am aware of.
They only know
goodness.
how to surprise you.
I'm easily surprised. It's what makes horror movies so great for me. Because I'm always surprised.
I feel like I'm surprised by nothing. Very few things in life surprise me.
That's the dichotomy of us.
Yes, what you said.
Yeah, sorry. Ooh. Sam, doing good?
Yes. Huh?
You like trick or treat?
No.
No, hate it.
I love trick or treat.
Okay, so this is another one of those movies that I haven't seen before. I mean, I say that like we've had other episodes where I've stated as such, and there has been other episodes where I've stated as such, but not that have been released. So I haven't seen a lot of core horror movies like a lot of people have. I mean, I've seen like Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween and Friday the 13th, but nothing like The Exorcist or Poltergeist or Trick or Treat.
So you stay away from a lot of trick or treat excluded. You stay away from a lot of the paranormal, like horror.
Yeah, it
Okay.
seems like that. I guess it's because I just don't buy into it very well.
You prefer a good slasher.
No,
You just named a bunch of slashers.
well, yes, but those are the easily accessible ones that I like. those aren't
fair.
going into the weirder things. Trick or treat. And Sam, please repeat to me how many times you've seen this movie.
This movie has been a Halloween staple for me since 2012, sometime around there.
So that's a good 9 years with this.
Yeah, so
And-
how most people are with Elf around Christmas or
Right.
Hallmark movies, that's me with Trick or Treat.
It's obviously one of your favorite movies, and we're watching this as your birthday month movie. This is
Yes.
Sam's pick. This is Sam's movie, and I'm very happy with it. I really enjoyed this, but did you see this in theaters?
No, I don't think this had a theatrical release. I think it went
No, it
straight
was-
to home.
Straight to DVD. That's right.
Yeah.
I read that this morning. I'm sorry. They had like limited release in theaters across the country, but it was like a handful of stuff, and certainly none in wherever you are.
So they showed this at close to or right around a dozen film festivals. And it went from the film festivals to home release. So it, to my knowledge, didn't have a theatrical release at all. Which is sad, but what can you do?
Yeah, it is what it is. But it's out in the world now, and there's nothing you can do.
It's
I've-
taking over Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, I've noticed that. So I've had throughout the years, I've had friends who really, really like this movie. Like they would go to horror conventions and they would dress up, And they like one of them actually has a Sam costume. It was pretty impressive. But
Like they made it themselves?
yeah, big head and everything.
Oh, nice.
It was cool to see because it was big head.
Yes.
But it's one of those movies that I've seen the interest and the fan base for it go up as time has gone by.
Yes.
And, I'm going to partially judge the lockdowns for that. That first Halloween people spent indoors.
Yeah, but it was significantly gaining in popularity before then, too. It had
Really?
a small cult following and, like, it continued to grow. And then, you have some pretty well-known actors in it,
Yeah.
which also helped
Indeed.
spread awareness. I don't know. Words are hard for me today. Just fair warning.
It is. Words are always difficult. Caffeine doesn't seem to, do anything, unfortunately.
No.
Need dictionary drinks. Thesaurus sips. Sorry, I'm done. Okay. So now that our little interview is done, I'm going to cut myself off there for the interview. Thank you for answering my questions. Did you want to read the synopsis, or is it Trucker Tim?
No, we need the Trucker Tim voice.
Okay. Tonight's synopsis is from Google. Interwoven stories demonstrate that some traditions are best not forgotten, as the residents of a small town face real ghosts and goblins on Halloween. Tales of terror reveal the consequences of extinguishing a jack-o'-lantern before midnight, and a grumpy hermit's encounter with a sinister trick-or-treater. So it kind of gives you a cursory glance of what's going on, but it's far deeper than that. Right?
I find that it glosses over it a lot, but I mean, it's a synopsis. It's supposed to, right?
It's a synopsis. It's supposed to have the most interesting stuff.
There's a redirect in there too.
What do you mean a redirect?
Well,
go to a different website.
The grumpy hermit's encounter with a sinister trick-or-treater. He's like he's the guardian of Halloween. He's not a trick-or-treater.
I mean, he did go trick-or-treating, to be fair.
I like that the first time you see him, Steven escapes death.
I hate to say this, but I think Steven was my favorite character.
So it was released to DVD December 9th, 2007. And it was directed and written by Michael Dougherty, who you may also know from Krampus and X-Men something or another as well, but I personally don't care about. But this was Michael's directorial debut. He wrote a 3-minute long cartoon called Season's Greetings. It's the first time that we ever see Sam. And I believe it was for his thesis, for his college thesis. Could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. But from that little 3-minute cartoon came the story of Trick or Treat as we know it.
Very interesting.
I watched a behind the scenes. And Michael says in it that Sam is his demonic inner child. And I don't know if that's really cool or if it's really scary.
I think it's supposed to be both.
But it was worth mentioning.
I love that. Because
I'm shocked and amazed that you love that.
I mean, listen, we've all kind of got this inner little hellion inside of all of us that wants to just go out and make havoc. And
yeah, but I don't think we want all of those inner children want to murder people with lollipops.
Mine doesn't. No.
I mean,
it wants to set off fart gas.
So you want to kill people by suffocating them?
I want to weapons grade stink. Yeah.
All right. It's interesting. Oh my God. So we kick this off with the first tale of Emma and Henry, played by Leslie Bibb and Tom O'Pennicott. straight out the gate, I don't like her. And that is
No?
something that's a reoccurring theme for me with this movie. Everyone who dies, I didn't like.
I don't think you're supposed to like them.
Fair.
But also, I didn't like her because she was kind of a you know what about Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Like, ma'am, it is midnight. You are sloshed.
It is not midnight, by the way.
No, it's not.
Because then her blowing out the jack-o'-lantern would have been fine. So it's
That's
not
right.
even midnight yet.
No, it's you're old, you're drunk, go to bed, girl. Don't do anything else.
Also, who takes decorations down the night of the holiday? Like, for any holiday.
Psychopaths.
Monica Geller's. I got very, like, Monica Geller, everything has to be, like, exactly
From
the way I
Friends?
want it, exactly when I want it. Yes.
Yeah.
I got those vibes. You were like, who?
I was like, no, this name rings a bell. I used to watch
From
a lot of
Friends,
Friends
yes.
as a kid.
I love Friends.
Anyways, so yeah, it was she came in. She was wearing I call her robot lady because I'm bad with names. But I remember thinking to myself, like, I felt bad for her husband, the sci-fi guy, because it's like
What was his costume?
he was a sci-fi guy, a robot and a sci-fi guy.
Yeah, that's generic. What do you mean by sci-fi guy?
No, I mean, like, he looked like Buck Rogers, basically, like a Buck Rogers special character, right?
Okay.
Just like an astronaut in sci-fi movie, you know?
Okay.
It's generic, not anyone's IP, but the weird studded collar and the hip belt gun thing gave it
The
away to
hip
me.
belt gun. I love that. Not the hip holster on a belt. The hip belt gun thing.
I couldn't remember holster. I'm not a gun person. So, anyways, I felt bad for him because he was just like, why don't we just go inside? Just wait till tomorrow to do all this.
Yeah, and he also tells her, that she needs to respect the traditions.
And
He warns her against blowing out the jack-o'-lantern. And then she says, you're lit, I'm lit, but this doesn't need to be lit. And she blows it out.
She's just being a jerk, I think.
Yeah. So not nice. So he's like, you and me upstairs as they're on the porch going inside. And she's like, no, I'm going to clean up. I'm going to clean up, blah, blah, blah. And then finally she gives in, kind of. And she's like, go inside. And she's like, I'm going to clean up a little and then I'll be in. So she starts pulling all of the sheets off of the ghost.
They had a yard full of ghosts. Mm-hmm.
And dismembered body parts. Let's not forget that.
Decorative amputations.
It's a very descriptive way yet to
Thank
say
you.
it. Yeah.
That's what I put down in my notes.
And so she's doing that and she's putting all of these sheets into one big cardboard box and she sees someone across the street. Oh, so while she's doing this, we get a different point of view and you can tell it is someone in a mask.
Yes.
And they start walking across the street towards the house. And then it goes back to her and you see her taking all the sheets off the ghosts and she turns around and she sees this person just standing in the road or close to the road staring at her. And the tension starts to build. They're making no movement. They're just staring her way. And then a car abruptly pulls up. The kid lifts his mask up and then he gets in the car and drives off. Tension's broken. She goes back to pulling the sheets off and she pulls one sheet and puts it in the cardboard box. And then all of a sudden, Sam jumps out of the box, covered in a sheet, wraps her in the sheet with him as well. They struggle. She falls outside the gate and he slits her throat with the lollipop that he has.
Little jack-o'-lantern lollipop. Yep.
And then we see how strong he is when he starts to drag her body back into the yard. And then Meanwhile, Henry's upstairs. He hears her screaming and struggling. He's passed out on the bed.
Still in costume.
Yes, still in costume. And he wakes up, looks around, sees the nature special on TV, and then falls back to sleep, thinking that the sounds are coming from the nature video.
Yeah.
While his wife, girlfriend, what have you, is being brutally murdered in their front yard.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you wake up and think, oh, those screams must be coming from the TV of the thing that I'm watching, I would consider finding a therapist.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving swiftly along. Does he wake up again? Yeah, he has to wake up again because he has to go out and...
He does wake up again. So he wakes up again, not from screaming, just from...
Drunk.
I don't think it's because he was drunk. I think, like, you know how sometimes you wake up... First off, he's laying on the bed with his feet hanging off the bed fully clothed. So he's not sleeping very comfortably. So I think it's a combination of that and the bed being empty next to him that causes him to stir. He looks, he doesn't see her. And then he proceeds to go out the front door, and all of the sheets are back on the ghosts. But
I didn't even
nowhere
realize
to
that.
be found. Yes.
I mean, I didn't even put that back together.
So the whole yard is reset. We're going to take a momentary pause while Tim deals with the banging on his roof.
I was sitting here thinking about all the spooky shit going on in this movie, and also, boom, boom. I'm not Halloween enough. He walks back out to the yard, and the yard is full of ghosts once more.
Yes, like I said. And you didn't notice that, correct?
No, I mean, I just remember the one being covered, not the rest of... I mean, I didn't piece it together, because I thought she only got, like, 1 or 2 of the ghosts down.
She got, like, 4 of them down. She was doing quite a bit of them. She was speed cleaning. So Henry comes outside, and he looks around, and he notices that one of the arms that is hanging from the tree looks very realistic. He looks around for her, and then for whatever reason, he decides to pull a sheet from one of the ghosts, and he just happens to choose the right one. Also, where's the blood on that sheet from her throat being slit?
Oh man, who knows? But
anyways,
he picked the one that had lights and stuff on it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yep.
So there was lights going off in it. That's right.
Yeah.
Which drew his attention to it, and he pulled the sheet off to reveal rather gruesome death. She is the ghost under the sheet, and you just see they do a close up of her face with the lollipop just stuck in her mouth.
Yep.
And then it cuts to a rather fun title card.
Oh yeah, the title. Yeah.
I'm like, what is this word? Why can't I think of it?
Are you talking like the Marvel intro?
Yeah. Yes. So it's comic books, and I don't know if you saw, but in it there were little setups for each tale.
Yep.
And they had like always check your candy and don't blow out. What was it like? Don't blow out your
jack-o'-lantern.
I think that it said don't blow out your jack-o'-lantern. It says 4 tales of terror. Yeah, don't let the jack-o'-lantern go out. It will protect you. Mm-hmm. Always check your candy. These traditions were started to protect us, which is a line that Wilkins says in his tale, which we'll get to. Wear a costume to disguise yourself as one of them, and then old Mr. Krieg knows. And then, you see all kinds of fun little like glimpses of each story in it. And then you take it from there for the next tale, because that tale is officially done. This is the one where we're following Billy down the street. I'm sorry, not Billy. We're following Charlie.
I was
down
like,
the
excuse
street.
you, it's Charlie.
Billy is his son.
Billy is his son. Charlie,
Yes.
I remember Charlie's name because I connected it with Charlie in the Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
My note here about the intro, it says, Sam seems to be the law enforcer of Halloween.
So Sam is like the Halloween guardian.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this was before we really got like officially introduced to Sam.
Yes.
And so this
So
was
at
my
this
first
point,
like,
the only interaction we've had with Sam is that POV of him seeing
kill cam.
Emma. And it was very reminiscent of like Halloween to me. How we would see through Michael Myers' mask. It was that same vibe.
We're on the main street. There's a parade, the Halloween parade going on, which everyone has been. It's kind of like it's the big Halloween thing, it seems like, in this town. You know, going out.
So
to
they
the
have
main
a parade
street.
and then they have a festival.
A festival.
Yeah.
I only remember hearing about the parade, but you know, people come to this thing and they're all dressed up in costumes. But our current fascination is we're following Charlie. He's a boy, probably a preteen boy, like 12, 13. He's dragging a bag of candy behind him through the mud, through the wire, through all this garbage. He's also been seen going through the neighborhood, knocking down pumpkins off of railings, smashing pumpkins, just being a hellion.
So the first time we see Charlie, he's walking down the street in the town. Did you notice that the people standing in line to get into that store, Principal Wilkins is the first person in line holding a bag, like a brown bag.
I saw that. And it's the same brown bag he comes back with later.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, the moon is orange. I wanted to say that.
I didn't notice that.
It's just an establishing shot. It goes up into the moon, and the moon is like a pumpkin orange. And I thought that was really neat.
That is neat.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're following him. And when we're following him, this is a later thing. So we flash back to earlier with Charlie. Right? And then earlier, we're at the Halloween store. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's not Charlie.
I'm sorry.
You are.
It's because
remember it's because
I didn't
tail.
even. No, I know, but that's because I'm reading my notes and I didn't even keep things track. So Charlie goes over to Steven's house, right?
Yeah. So
he's walking along, scouting out places for candy, and then he sees that Mr. Wilkins' house is open and has candy that's a free for all, like a candy trough.
There's a sign that says, "Sorry, we're not home. Please take one piece of candy," in a little jack-o'-lantern, like a pumpkin, ceramic pumpkin.
Like on a pillar. It's very cute. Yeah. I love it. I'm here for it. Yeah, and so this kid, what he does is just stick his whole trotter in there and just starts shoveling it into his bag. And then Steven comes up and catches him in the act.
But not only does he catch him in the act, like, it's funny the way he calls him on it. So Steven appears, who, by the way, is played by the brilliant Dylan Baker. Love that man. Plays such a creepy, like, just run-of-the-mill guy. But he said...
That can't be good for your diabetes, Charlie.
Yes, that's right. So
I knew I had written it down because it was such a...
It was
such a zinger.
Yeah. And so Charlie's like, and then he says something along the lines of, don't
waste a good lie on this. It's just candy.
And so then he's like, come sit down. So they sit down on the steps of Wilkins' front porch, and Wilkin talks about how he was just like Charlie when he was his age until his dad set him straight. And then he started talking about the traditions of Halloween and how they should be respected and blah, 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 blah.
He fed Charlie a piece of candy from the bag.
Did he give them a piece of candy from the bag? I thought Charlie grabbed a piece of candy from his bag.
He pulled it out. He hands it over.
And then he pulls a knife out. And the whole time he's doing this storytelling about how his dad set him straight and stuff like that, he's carving another jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah. Yep. And Charlie's getting sick. Something's wrong. His tummy is rumbling. He's got them bubble guts going. He is anyone over the age of 30 who ate too much Halloween candy.
I've never thrown up chocolate and then blood. So no, I'm going to say...
No, but I'm saying...
I'm going to say there's a difference there.
The upset tummy with all the chocolate. It's like, oh no. That 8th Musketeer.
I should have stopped at 7.
Yeah. Anyway. Charlie's vomiting and...
profusely.
Like jackass projectile vomiting chocolate.
Yeah. And go ahead.
What? I was going to say, how did Steven get him in?
Because I was going to say, then Steven looks at him and says something along the lines of, that's why you always check your candy.
Yep. And then he passes out in his lap.
Yeah. Charlie passes out in his lap. And then you think at this point, Charlie's dead. But we see Wilkins dragging this dead weight into his house. And then Charlie
burbling and letting out chocolate and blood.
Charlie's still throwing up. So Wilkins has blood all on the front and the back of his white button-up shirt.
He looks like a principal.
He is a principal. He is the principal.
White dress shirt, a tie, glasses. He looks reanimated almost.
And then he is clearly getting frustrated with Charlie. And the doorbell rings.
Interrupted, yep.
And he gets interrupted by trick-or-treaters. We're not introduced to them by name at this point, but it is Macy, Chip, and Sarah that are at the door. And Macy asks for Wilkins' jack-o'-lantern for a UNICEF scavenger hunt. Yep. And this is the first time that we see the tales kind of interweave. Because they are actually in another tale. He gives them candy. He says, when she asks for the jack-o'-lantern, he says, are you going to smash it? She says, no. He says, take it. And Chip, I don't know if you saw this, but Chip starts to notice.
The little pirate. Yeah. He's all fast.
He starts to notice the mess on the porch and down the steps.
Yeah, he's like, look, you can see his whole head turn as he's following this giant brown streak.
Yes.
This giant skid mark going into his house.
I forgot to mention, when Wilkins opens the door, all bloodied, the kids scream. And he's like freaking out, thinking like he got busted and like trying to like come up with a story or something. And then they just start busting out laughing.
I got you.
Yeah, I love it. So one of the reasons that I love Trick or Treat so much is, yes, it's full of death and gore and you know, all the things that you love about horror, but there's comedy in it too. Like there's, I don't want to say there's a childlike innocence, but there kind of is, in the same way that Sam has a childlike innocence.
Demon inner child.
Yes. So the kids turn around and like leave.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that we see Sam.
Oh, yeah. He was hiding behind Chip.
And Wilkins looks at him and he's like, you didn't get any? And holds out the pumpkin so that he can get a piece of candy. Grabs the candy, turns around, and runs down the steps. Had Wilkins just shut the door in his face, Wilkins would have been his next victim.
Yep. No, and I like that moment. It was kind of a nice moment where you got to see Sam for the first time not trying to kill somebody. And it was like kind of one of the first tests also.
Well, I mean, we still haven't seen Sam kill anybody. We never saw him. We saw his lollipop and we saw sheets, but we never saw Sam.
No. So Sam takes off. Steven goes back to Dragon. Charlie back into the prepared mess in the backyard.
I found it funny that Steven had a tarp over the pre-dug hole, and the thing that was keeping it down was a garden gnome.
A gnome.
Very mundane thing.
A single gnome, and not like a breeze block on the other end. No, just on one corner.
Yeah.
An ethereal wind could have taken it.
What is it with you and ethereal winds, man?
I don't know, but it's apparent in everything.
Well, not Halloween, in this movie.
Like horror movies is fucking why is it windy?
So, this is more of that humor that I was talking about. He's he reveals the grave he dug, and do you see that there's already another body down there?
It looks taller than Charlie. It looks like a whole adult.
I mean, it could have been. I don't really think based on later events, I don't really think he's discriminatory.
No, I think
so.
Yeah.
He goes to put Charlie in the grave, and this is the first time we see Billy yelling from his bedroom upstairs down to Steven.
Yeah. He's
saying,
like,
I'm back from trick-or-treating.
I'm back. And it's like, oh my God.
And Steven's like, shut up.
He's like, oh, stop it.
And then
he's so afraid of getting caught.
Yeah. He said, you're going to disturb the neighbors. Keep your voice down. And then he was like, go watch Charlie Brown. And he's like, Charlie Brown's an ass. And he's like, Billy Wilkins. Language.
I just about died at that moment. Charlie Brown's an asshole. It's like, you are a child. Where did you get that opinion from?
And then, so, he finally gets him to go away.
Mm-hmm.
And he rolls Charlie into this, basically, what's becoming a mass grave. And then the neighbor's dog comes outside and starts barking. Bark, 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 bark. And another part of this, like, I found this whole scene to be hilarious because then he has to chop off one of the fingers of the dead body to give to this dog to try and get it to go away.
Oh my God. That part really kind of set it into me. Like, this dude is a little messed up and willing to do anything.
And it only gets worse the farther into this tale we get.
Yeah.
Right? And then Mr. Krieg comes out, basically asks Wilkins, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm fixing my septic. We're having issues. And he's like, is that why it smells like crap out here. Or he said, I don't remember exactly what he said.
Yeah, he said it stinks.
Yeah, but he said it stinks like something. I just don't remember what it was. And
so, okay. Yeah, the old man says that it stinks. And he's like coming closer to the fence that they share.
So Krieg said to him, "What are you doing down there? Hiding bodies?"
No, fixing the septic.
And then Steven, mind you, the body that we see already down there, he is starting to make noise.
Right. So Steven's in the grave hiding, and the old man's coming to the gate of the fence to look over and see what Steven's up to, and then the body in there is thrashing, and so Steven's trying to get it shut up with his shovel.
Yeah.
Or his foot. And, he's kind of afraid of getting caught at this point.
So Krieg is like, fine, whatever. And he turns around to go back inside. And he yells at Wilkins, keep your damn kid out of my yard. Or no, keep your kid out of my yard, you damn freak. And then Wilkins hollers back, happy Halloween. And Krieg goes, screw you, and slams the door.
Yep.
So Steven struggles, and he eventually kills who we're presuming at this point is Charlie with the shovel. Somewhere in there, Billy comes back to the window and is yelling at him again. And he's like, so Billy comes and he's like, I need help with the jack-o'-lantern. I need help with the eyes. And he's like, okay, I'll be in there in a minute. And he's like, can I go to the parade with you? And he says, no, Daddy has a date. And so Billy runs off. Billy's like, we never spent any time together. And he's like, how about we make caramel apples like Grandpa used to? Which by the end of this tale, I was like, what kind of caramel apples did Grandpa used to make? Goes inside. Steven fills the hole. Plants a tree.
Yeah, puts a tree there to cover it up,
And then by this point, you can see that Steven is clearly getting annoyed with his son.
Yeah.
As he's watering the tree, as you do in the middle of the night on Halloween after killing people and burying them in your backyard, he's mimicking Billy. And he says a couple of different things, but the one thing that really made me laugh was when he was like, Daddy, I wish Mommy was still alive. But you can see with each time he's imitating his son, his frustration is growing and growing and growing. And so as he's walking into the house, you're like, dude, are you really are you about to off your kid?
Wait. He gets to the point where he finishes watering, and instead of putting the watering can away like a normal human, he just throws it.
Because he's frustrated. I can, as a parent, I can relate to that.
I bet. So he goes into the house, and I literally, at this point, I was sitting here.
Before he goes into the house, we get our second interweaving of the stories.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So Mr. Krieg is banging on his window, yelling for him, saying, Wilkins, help me, Wilkins, help me. And Steven looks over at him, says, screw you, and goes in the house. And we see Sam just tackle Krieg out of the window. Launched across.
You just see a blur of Sam, and then Krieg gets police tackled.
Yeah, he does. I was like, whoa.
No, at this point, I really, really, really thought that you did not like Steven because he was going to kill his child. I was dead set on this at this point. I thought that he was going to kill his child. I thought that's why you didn't like him. Literally.
No. I don't like him because he's a sociopath.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
a murderous sociopath.
Dark triad. Yeah.
So Stephen goes inside. He calls for Billy. We see a knife on the counter, but Billy's not answering him. He goes to pick up the knife, and Billy jumps out from behind the kitchen counter, scares the ever-living snot out of his dad.
Yep.
And you see his rage hit an all-time high.
Yeah. Yeah, he's mad.
And Billy's like, so can we carve it now? And Stephen says, yes, let's go downstairs. And the way he says that is so creepy. You're just certain he's going to kill his son. Billy grabs his hand, starts to lead him down to the basement. Stephen grabs the knife off of the counter and hides it behind his back. They get downstairs, and the setup for it is just so awesome. I love it. The tension is building.
The tension is high.
But the tension is still building.
Oh, yeah.
Because we haven't gotten to the peak of it yet, right? When Stephen puts his hand on top of Billy's head, pulls his arm back like he's going to stab something, and does. But it's not what you think. The scene reveals that it is Charlie's head. And right before he like plunges the knife down, you hear Billy say, let's carve a scary face this time.
Yeah.
And Stephen says, scary face it is. And that's when he plunges the knife down. I don't remember if it was it into the table or was it into Billy's head? I mean, Charlie's head, not Billy's.
I think it was into the table.
Okay.
I don't really remember. I was too busy reeling.
And then that scene ends with Billy saying, but don't forget to help me with the eyes.
Yep.
Dude, the Wilkins are a messed up family because based on the story, right, that Stephen tells Charlie, Billy's going to be at least a third generation serial killer.
At least. Holy cats. The backyard must be full.
Oh, yeah. That septic system must always be broken. So the third tale is not one that I want to tell.
Which one is it?
It is the Halloween Bus Massacre. And the story of the little shithead trick-or-treaters.
Yeah. Which house?
Miss Henderson's house. The old lady dressed up as a black cat.
Oh, Christ. I've expunged that from my memory.
Well,
so
recover it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately it is. Okay, so the three trick-or-treaters that went and saw the principal in our last story, in the last story, they've gone to another house and they show up to the old lady's house and she is having a party. She is dressed in a black fur bikini. It is Halloween, by the way, which typically kind of marks the beginning of the cold season. And granted, she is inside, but ma'am.
I mean, she does have like a mesh shirt over it. It looks like it's like a one piece and not a bikini with mesh over her stomach. She doesn't have any like completely exposed skin.
Well, there's something at least. So the kids are obviously a little bit weirded out by seeing her like this. They're like, trick or treat, and this woman's like, "Do you want a drink? Do you want to come in?" It's like, stop talking to me. Just give me my candy, please. And the kids are like, no, we just would like some candy. Did they ask for a pumpkin from her?
They did ask for a pumpkin from her.
Did she have a pumpkin?
I don't remember. I think so.
Yeah. So she goes off to get some candy, and the kids are shown from the front door to the back of, like, into another room inside the house. And in this room are people in all sorts of animal costumes doing all sorts of things.
There's a coach in a hot dog suit. They're not all animals.
Oh, well, good. The only ones I had seen were animals, and I was a little bit concerned.
Hot dog was standing behind an animal.
Yeah, I was like, someone was getting the business in there. So it was.
And the hot dog was giving
it. It was certainly another moment of, I paused after it happened, and I looked at my dad and go, what the hell just happened?
This is not a movie for you to watch with your dad.
I don't have a choice. Dad wants to watch these with me, and so we do.
They always give us entertaining, or give me entertaining stories, though. So I'm not mad at it.
Listen, yeah, I mean, I used to watch horror movies with my dad when I was a kid, so it's just a time-honored tradition with us, I guess. So the kids get their stuff and leave. They meet up? Is this where they meet up with the
Yes, so they meet up with Schrader.
With the cart? Yeah, okay. He's got a cart with like 3 other pumpkins in it. And I think so far the only pumpkins they were able to get was from Steven.
Yeah. So they have 4.
So now we've got 4 pumpkins, 1 for each of them. And then they decide to go and talk to the pumpkin lady.
No, they didn't decide to go and talk to Rhonda.
No.
Who is played by Sam Todd, who was the cutest kid. I watched a bunch of behind the scenes stuff. Oh, she was adorable. Loved her. They were being bullies, and they were playing a prank on her. So
was this whole story built around the prank on her?
Yes.
Oh my God. I didn't even put that together.
So it... There's only one other death that I found as satisfying as those kids. So they walk up to Rhonda's house, and it is stunning. She's got 40 jack-o'-lanterns outside, and she carved all 40 of them. It could have been more, it could be less, but like visually it's gorgeous, and some of them are very intricate.
They're all different too.
And they call her names to each other. Chip and Macy do. And Rhonda comes out. And as Rhonda's coming out, Macy looks at Schrader and says, "You're on." Or "You're up." I think it's "You're up." And the 3 of them leave.
Using the young man to manipulate the young lady.
And they leave. So they are headed to, I guess, find more pumpkins or something. I'm not quite sure. Schroeder talks to Rhonda. We find out Rhonda made her own costume and carved every pumpkin. And so he and Rhonda head up to meet with the other 3. And as they're walking to the rock quarry is when we learn about, like, Rhonda tells them about Samhain and all of those things. And I think like, the rest of it well enough to tell it.
Sorry, this story was a little bit harder for me to decipher. Like I said, I didn't realize that this whole story was about, like, the whole setup of pranking or bullying. I'm just gonna call her Pumpkin.
Her name is Rhonda, and she was special.
She was. I'm not denying. I don't call people these names just because it's funny, but so I keep it separate in my head.
Right.
Because I'm garbage with human names.
Continue.
So, is Pumpkin the one that told them about the bus?
No, the one that told the story about the bus was Macy.
Was the angel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I don't quite recall what happens leading up to this, but I remember that the angel she starts telling the story about why they're going to this specific rock quarry. So at some point in the 50s, I believe it was really a long time ago. And this one Halloween, a bus driver, I don't know if he was taking them to or from school, but he had a bus full of kids, and the bus service was specifically for the special needs children.
It was a
district.
school on the outskirts of town.
Okay, there you go. And one day, the bus driver, instead of taking the kids where they needed to be, he takes a detour and takes them to the rock quarry, and it is revealed that the bus driver was paid a substantial amount of 1950s money to ease these parents of their quote-unquote burdens. So on this day, the bus driver and all these kids in this bus are all in their Halloween costumes. Because it's Halloween, it's supposed to be a great day. The bus driver takes the bus off the cliff and into the pond.
The bus driver does not take off the cliff.
No?
There is one kid who's dressed as a vampire.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Who's played by Richard Harmon. He counts. So it is his routine every day on the way home to count. So you hear him say 3260, 3262, 3264. Right. And then you hear him start to say wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. After the bus driver turns off of their, after he deviates from their normal route. And
I was trying to keep this story vague for your sake, Sam.
No, but here's the thing. You can't keep it vague and keep it wrong. So all of that happens. So the vampire kid, they are all chained in the bus.
Yeah. Yeah. So they don't get out and...
When the bus driver's going around to give them each a piece of candy because he parked right outside or right at the beginning of the rock quarry. The vampire kid is clearly in distress.
Yep.
Gets himself out of the chains, and he's the one that drives the bus off the rock or off the cliff into the water because he was trying to drive them home.
Yeah. So the thing about rock quarries is that they're usually tiered, and at the bottom is typically a big standing water collection. Because they don't want to take pumps and drain it all out. Where else is it going to go? So it might as well just stay there. So it's not like a pond or anything that they landed in. It was just still water, and it was substantial enough water to where the bus sunk. But the bus driver was able to escape and swim away, and he was never heard from again. He assumedly got paid, did the deed. He assumedly got paid, didn't do the deed, but the end result was still achieved, and he GTFO.
Yep.
In theory. And so at the end of this story, the four kids arrive at the elevator to take them down. Five. And three of them get on. The pirate, the angel, and the alien. They all get onto the elevator and they go down. All right. Sorry, we can't. No. Was it the boy?
Not the pirate. The pirate stays with her.
Pirate stayed with Pumpkin. And so
Chip stayed with Rhonda.
So Angel's like, sorry, we can't take you guys. There's not enough room in here. And they just slink down into this fog because it's the middle. It's dark out. It's foggy down by the water.
And it's cold because you can see their breath.
Right. Yeah. So it's chilly. And so the two are standing up there and they can see the pumpkins go out from the elevator into the fog. And then there's screams. Blood curdling screams, and then the pumpkins go out. And the screams stop. Pumpkin and Pirate go down, and they're both very afraid.
Which is stupid, because Chip knows what's happening.
Right. And then Pumpkin goes by the water's edge?
Yes.
Is that...
Because
and then
there's a mask.
Right.
So she goes to retrieve the mask. And that's when they come up from the water.
They did come up from the water. And then she still has her pumpkin in her hands.
Yes.
The other pumpkins are on the ground.
This is the prank. So the ones that are coming out and chasing her, those are the douche canoes that I'm happy died.
Right. So wound up, the kids wind up scaring her. She runs. She's trying to run away. Her glasses come off. She breaks them.
She trips and falls and she gets knocked out. When she comes to, she finds out, they kind of reveal to her that it's a joke or whatever. They go blow out all of the pumpkins except for the one that Rhonda is holding. Because Rhonda is very much like, you don't blow out your candle. Like, you don't blow out your jack-o'-lantern. No. So she's holding tight to it. And then the ghosts of the 8 show up.
I found his notes finally.
Okay.
Whispering of the dead can be heard, and then the screaming. Because that was the thing about this. I remember picking up on it, and I don't really pick up on music or, a lot of stuff like that. But I really picked up on the dead whispers.
Yeah. And then they appear.
Was nice.
And Rhonda gets to the elevator first and closes herself in. And the others run to the elevator. And they're like, let us in, let us in, let us in. And she has the key in her hand. And she acts like she's going to go let them in. And at the last moment, she pushes the button for the elevator to ascend.
And she doesn't have any regrets.
No. And as she is rising out of the quarry, you can hear their screams.
Yeah. I have a note here that says, Sam can be seen walking into the chaos.
So you see Sam when she gets off the elevator at the top. He's at the tunnel. And they exchange a look.
Yeah.
And then she walks home.
Sam going to do his business.
Sam going to observe. Sam... The only person Sam kills is Emma in the entire movie.
Holy cats, you're right.
Yep.
That's weird.
Sam watches the retribution happen and will only... Well, yeah. But he will only... he will only cast judgment, if no one else is around. Generally, though, it is... He's just watching it unfold. But the next story would be the girls with the most interesting striptease ever.
So this was the one where it's the ladies, their story starts off. It was a group of 4 of them, and they start off with the Peeping Tom kid. And he's in a bear costume or something. Or dog.
So you want to hear the fun little... thing about the Peeping Tom in the costume shop dressing rooms?
Yes.
That is Quinn Lord. From what I found in research. Quinn Lord plays Sam. So the little Peeping Tommy, as he's known as on IMDb, is the same guy or kid who plays Sam.
Yeah, because it is a child that plays Sam. It's like a 10-year-old or something.
Doherty really wanted it. He was 7, And Doherty really
Holy.
wanted it to be a child because he wanted Sam to have childlike movements and actions. And those are things that only you can naturally come by with children. Adults can imitate it, but it's never authentic.
No, because as an adult, your body autonomy is more honed in, but as a child, you're kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it makes sense for, I'm going to call him a demigod for being in a physical form, It's going to be a little bit weird because usually you're just observing. You don't need a body. In these dressing rooms, there are 4 women. There's a Snow White. There's a Cinderella. And then
Bo Peep.
Bo Peep. That's right. Mm-hmm. And then Red Riding Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everyone but Red Riding Hood is a little bit more skin showing, shall we say. Well, Little Red Riding Hood is very modestly dressed. She's a little shy, a little nervous about things, and the other ladies are talking to her about her first time trying to find a guy, etc., etc. And so I literally thought, I was like, is this poor young woman's like older sister just giving her the riz? Like, is that what's going on? And I was really kind of confused.
Kind of.
And so they're talking about previous Halloween endeavors. What?
You're talking about that while we're talking about the actual costumes. Lori comes out and she says, I look like I'm 5. Lori's Little Red Riding Hood. And Danielle, her sister, who is Cinderella, says, oh, shut up. It's tradition.
I didn't, when you said it just now, it made things click in my head, which I think is kind of adorable. I don't know why I'm even going back to my notes at this point. We're too bollocks to continue with it.
Yep.
So we're going to have to deal with me being kind of vague, unfortunately. So they're talking about their Halloween plans, right? And they've got a party they're going to. At some point, Cinderella and Red Riding Hood separate to go do something, and we're left with Bo Peep and Snow White, who come across 2 guys with a news van.
So when they are checking out at the costume store, Danielle, who is Cinderella, invites the cashier to be her date.
An elf.
The 4 of them are walking on the street. And they're talking about how easy it is to find someone. And Lori is talking about how she always thought her first time would be special. And so to prove a point to Lori about how easy it is to find 2 guys, oh God, what are their names? The other 2, whose names Janet and I don't remember, but the other 2 go and find the newscasters.
Yep. Bo Peep had like 4 lines in the whole movie.
Maria and Janet, that's their names. Janet was the one I remembered, who was Bo Peep. Monica's the one I forgot.
Of course.
And so they invite the guys, and they all get in the van to go, and Lori's like, I'm going to stay back and I'm going to go find someone. And so
So the Cinderella, Bo Peep, and Snow White jump into the van.
Yes. And Lori goes to the parade / festival. And during that time, we see a vampire drain some random girl's blood, kill her, prop her up under a store window so that she looks like either a sleeping drunk or a homeless person.
Right.
And the fun thing is, in that little scene, we actually see Emma and Henry she goes to them for help.
Yeah.
And Henry's like, don't worry about her. She's drunk, and pulls Emma away.
Right. And we still don't know what caused their initial argument when they got back to their house. The robot and the sci-fi guy.
Who knows?
So, also, it was funny because this whole scene where Red Riding Hood, she's like trying to, like, she's walking through this parade and she keeps looking at these men that she thinks are single, and then they always wind up having a partner with them. And I'm like,
or there's
girl,
one that looks very masculine from behind. She turns around and she's a woman.
Oh, yeah,
the caveman or whatever.
Yeah. It's like desperation with a capital D, baby.
During her scouting adventure, Danielle calls her to check on her. Yep. And she says, I found a guy here for you. You know, he's really cute and he's sweet. And Lori says something like, so he's hideous. And you see him in the background, and he's dressed as a giant baby.
Well, I mean, he's a big man, so of course he's going to be a giant baby.
But the funny thing is, so he was played by C. Ernest Harth, who also played the great child in 13 Ghosts.
That's another movie I haven't seen.
It's another movie I will make you watch.
I know. I mean, it's got Matthew Lillard in it.
It's one of my favorites. I think we're watching that next month.
I think so. But I didn't even know Matthew Lillard was in it. I only knew Tony Shalhoub was. And I like Tony Shalhoub.
How did you not know? Okay.
Because he's wearing glasses. It's the Clark Kent phenomenon.
Ay.
I haven't actually seen it, so I have not... I mean, look, Sam, there's a guy going like this.
No. And I think he only wears the like ghost glasses. I don't think he actually wears glasses in it.
I went to Google last night to look at this, and every picture I'd seen him in, he was wearing glasses. Anyway.
I'm going to go find it now. I'm actually looking. Yeah, he's wearing the freaking ghost glasses, dude.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
They're clear. Everything about them is clear.
No, I know, and that's why I called it the Clark Kent phenomenon.
No, but I'm saying they're not even glasses that really change the way you look.
No.
They look like paintball glasses.
These are safety goggles.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
I'm glad I could help.
Anyways.
So is it an intentional tie-in to reference to 13 Ghosts, or is it just a
I don't think
happy
so.
stance?
I think it's just a happy stance.
Okay. I think
maybe.
I don't know. If it is a reference, I think that's great.
I mean, he does reference other things. So maybe.
Right?
Like they pay homage to Halloween with that first scene from Sam's point of view.
Yep.
Brian Cox, who plays Mr. Krieg, they made Mr. Krieg look like John Carpenter at Brian Cox's request. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I love that. All right. So, assumedly after Red Riding Hood gets off the phone with Cinderella, she is walking down a path in a forest or something. I don't know. There's a lot of wooded area around this town. It's quite interesting. And she's walking. And is she approached by a masked man?
Yeah, she's kind of...
Yeah, like out of the shadows, this man comes out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it. He pushes her into a tree, and he's like... It looks like the vampire from earlier. He's even got like fangs and all this other stuff. And then we go back to the party that's happening with the other ladies and stuff. People are having a great time there, it sounds like. It looks like.
Oh, yeah.
There's drinks, there's a bonfire, there's, people mingling. And then out of nowhere, the red cape that Red Riding Hood was wearing, with a body inside of it, but we can't see the body. So right now it's just a cape that comes flying in like it was just launched. And it's the size of a human. And it lands in the party. And was it Cinderella that goes over? Or was it Snow White? It was one of the ladies comes over and she goes and investigates
Danielle.
who it is. She
So
pulls the
Cinderella.
hood back and finds out that it's Steven. It's the principal. You know, he's got this eyeshadow on because he was wearing a black mask and he wanted to do the Batman thing, I guess. And he was also wearing fangs, trying to be a vampire, a spooky vampire guy. And he's in pain. He's distressed. He is not having a good time. I need to stop saying that word, having a good time.
Well, to be fair, killing was a good time for him.
Yeah. And he's got labored breathing. He's badly hurt. He's got like a broken leg or something because he was just launched. He was thrown. And then from the shadows comes Red Riding Hood, and she's got blood on her.
Yeah.
And then
the big revelation that she's not as innocent as she seems.
Yeah. Because she doesn't look like she's negatively affected by what just happened and that she's covered in blood. She's just, this is life, Yep. So I guess at this point I assumed, she's not that kind of virgin.
They did play that card very well throughout this whole tale.
I bought it because she read as that, awkward, desperate, looking for a man. A
22-year-old virgin.
Listen, it's not that far off, all right?
No, but they emphasized that in the beginning.
Yeah. Was it at this point where Steven kind of is looking around and realized something's wrong? Yeah,
so it's at this point that he looks around and sees lots of dead dudes.
Yeah. He's at ground level. He can see everything on the ground, and he sees that there are just feet and bodies everywhere, like littered like beer cans.
Yep. And so there is a adult-sized teddy bear behind him. Like it's a guy, I assume, dressed as a giant brown teddy bear.
I didn't even see that.
And I think he's the only one alive.
That's freaking hilarious. There's the only people alive at this party are women, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And this was the point in time where Steven looks back at the women, and is this where they start to transform?
This is where they start to dance. So yes. So I have mixed feelings about this. It's the most awkward striptease that I can think of, but it's also the most unique and interesting way I've seen werewolves transform.
They
literally begin to pull their skin.
Oh my god. I blacked out the striptease.
So I use the term striptease lightly because they're peeling their skin off like it's clothing.
Yeah. I ignored that part, and I got my mind only remembers the part where it's just like the muzzle breaks through the face. My dad at this point had said he says this is great paranormal body horror. Do you know what I mean?
I appreciate that in this scene they used as many practical effects as possible. So they had, I think it was 2 ladies in werewolf suits, so like 2 character actors, and then they had an animatronic.
Oh wow!
For when they get really close up to Steven. Yeah.
That's really cool. And then That's the end of Steven.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, he followed the rules, but you can't control werewolves.
Yes.
And our last story is Mr. Creek. So that begins with 3 kids knocking on his door. They're the 3 clowns that was seen at the beginning of the movie for a moment. They got spooked by something, I guess.
Oh.
They were just on screen for a brief moment, and I had made a note of it just because I was like, hey, I wonder if they're going to show up later. Because I didn't know the characters or who was part of this story, so I wanted to make sure I noted everyone that I saw, like, as a group.
Right.
But I was right. These 3, they were dressed as clowns, the teenage clowns, as I called them. They knock on Mr. Krieg's door. The door opened real slow, and then in the inside of the house is absolutely dark. And in the darkness, there's a pair of glowing eyes. And is it like growling? There's some noise. Like
so it's Krieg's little dog.
Yeah. It's a little dog with like a costume on that had glowing eyes, and a dog came running out at them, scaring the kids off, and he left their candy. Mr. Krieg takes their candy, goes back inside, pats the dog for doing a good job, takes the costume off of him. He goes inside, and he walks with a cane. He's got long hair and a beard.
He looks like John Carpenter.
He does. And he's got a fire. He doesn't have a lot of stuff in his house, but he's got a little fireplace and bloody boxes of photographs everywhere. And then he just grabs a fistful of photographs and just shoves it into the fire like it was nothing. He flips. The TV is also on, and he starts flipping through the TV channels, the 4 that he can get with his rabbit ears. And he's
one of those is the original House on Haunted Hill.
Yep.
And then the other one, the Jack-o'-lantern, is actually a little snippet from Michael Dougherty's Season's Greetings.
Oh, that's
which
really
is
cool.
The animation where Sam is first seen.
That's very cool. But with every mention of Halloween on TV, Mr. Krieger just gets mad. He just keeps getting angry and angrier. The dog starts barking, and he's barking because the garden gate was left open, and it's blowing around in the wind. Oh, the dog's also named Spite. Can we just revel in this for a moment? I love that. My dad, he's had a couple of dogs throughout his life, but he's like, oh, I love a dog named Spite. I do. I'm like, what the heck, Dad? Let's see. Oh, the dog left when the dog gets outside somehow, and Mr. Krieger finds out that he's eating something. And
that's where we see the interaction with Steven from the other point of view.
Yeah, so we get to see the intersection between Steven and Krieger from Krieger's point. And he... We're not going to recap that. Krieger's just irritated. He goes back inside, and then there's another knock at the door. He goes and gets his bat, I think. Was it a bat or a shotgun?
Shotgun.
He goes out, get a shotgun. I couldn't tell. It was at this moment where it's like dark. And he goes outside, and he discovers that his entire front garden is filled with jack-o'-lanterns.
Which, mind you, when the clowns came up, there was absolutely nothing in the yard.
No, there's not a scrap of Halloween in this man's life. Obviously, this man hates Halloween. So he goes and tries to smash a pumpkin. Dog's inside barking.
He left the door open.
Through the dog door.
Okay.
Yeah, because it sat there and it had like the close-up on the dog door swinging.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then he's going through his house. He knows something's in his house, and he's going through and investigating, and you can see Sam skittering across
the second floor landing.
Yep. something's under the blankets. He's upstairs in a bedroom, and something's under the blankets moving, and it turns out it's just like a little Halloween hand that's just undulating there. And then he...
That's when he turns around to walk away, and Sam slices his Achilles.
Well, no, the jack-o'-lantern, the fiery jack-o'-lantern happens, and it lights up the room to reveal trick or treat.
I thought he got his Achilles first, which put Krieger on the ground, and then that's when the jack-o'-lantern lit up.
He goes back at something under blankets, pulls blankets to reveal toy. Jack-o'-lantern is set ablaze in corner, trick or treat. And then Sam slices his legs, causing him to fall.
Okay.
But point is that there's trick or treat, give me something good to eat on the walls in blood. And then his leg is sliced. He falls. Oh God, yeah. He's trying to get out of this house. He's like crawling his way, and then he gets to the stairs, and he falls down the stairs. And on the stairs is a whole bunch of stuff. You got candy, razor blades, nails, broken glass.
That's crazy.
It's nuts, dude. And it was just
everything that we were told when we were kids. That was in our candy.
Yeah. And it was nuts because I actually had to go back for a minute and just pause. Me and my dad played the game of what do we see? Like, I Spy. And I was like, do you see any hypodermics? And he's like, no. The one seasoning that they could have added to it all. But I understand. It's mostly a joke. He's extra messed up now. His hands are all bloody. He can't use his hands really too well now. Oh, yeah. And his legs are all messed up. He's trying to escape. And Sam is on the ceiling, and then he drops onto the old man.
Which this is what this is really the first time that we get a glimpse that like Sam is supernatural. Because when he's pulling Emma back, we're like, okay, so he's really strong, but that doesn't mean he's supernatural.
No. The old man throws Sam off. The mask gets pulled off, and we reveal the pumpkin face underneath. The man Krieger gets his shotgun, shoots Sam in the face, and then a couple of other times, shooting pumpkin bits everywhere.
Yeah, so Sam is guts. Sam's innards are pumpkin innards.
Yeah, it's all pumpkin seeds and fiber. Oh yeah, he's on the phone trying to get 911 on. The line's cut. And it turns out it's Sam's amputated hand that was shot off or something.
Yes.
Cut the phone line.
The funny thing is, when his hand crawls back to him, it's very, I don't know if it was intentional, but it's very reminiscent of The Thing.
Yeah.
Like John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes, it was. It was either that or Nightmare Before Christmas when Sally's like stitching her hand back on.
Yes.
Oh my God. Instead, my notes. I'm going to read my notes explicitly here. Instead of doing anything, the old man watches Sam come back to life and compose himself. Sam, not the old man. The old man just sits there with his jaw on the floor and goes,
yeah.
Oh yeah. Sam gets his mask back on. He gets his shoes straight. He gets everything good. He pulls out a lollipop and takes a big chomp of it, giving us the signature crescent moon look. Sam stabs him, but a candy bar stops the blade.
And Sam thinks
pacifies
that Krieger, Mr. Krieg is giving him a candy bar.
Yeah.
That
the man is left confused as Sam leaves. And we find out, as the camera goes over to the fireplace, there's a photo in the fireplace of the bus driver, leaving us to imply that...
with the 8 students.
with the 8 students and leaving us to imply that Mr. Krieg is the bus driver. Well,
Yes. So here's my question. That picture was clearly taken the day that the accident happened, okay?
Yeah.
The bus driver knows this accident's going to happen. Why does he want a picture reminding him of something awful? Like, it makes no sense. None.
What if the school sent it? Like, what if the school took the picture and then sent it to him?
I know a lot of teachers, they don't get pictures of them with their students from school.
No, I don't know. It's a weird moment, but it definitely.
I heard a theory that was actually kind of cool.
Oh,
or not cool, but I could see the thought process of it. What if one of the parents took that photo as blackmail for the bus driver?
I was like, it was either that or like a memento.
It's a weird memento,
right? Like
dude.
That's the dark one. I like yours better.
Because blackmail isn't dark? Okay.
No, blackmail is a better option than serial killer mementos. Well, I shouldn't say serial, than killer mementos. You know, like a parent. Yeah.
Anyways, let's move along.
So, another thing to imply that this is the bus driver is that later on that night, he's covered in bandages, but kids are still out trick or treating somehow. He's got bandages. He's got he's trying to cope with the night's events. And there's a set of new trick or treaters that come by. They're 3 little pigs, 3 girls dressed as the 3 little pigs, and they say Happy Halloween. And Mr. Krieg goes, and despite his dislike for Halloween, he gives them each a handful of mints.
Whatever he can find, right?
Yeah. Just I laughed so hard, and I was like, "What are those?" I was like, "Mints from like a restaurant. You stick them full of your pockets."
Yeah.
We get a flash of Billy sitting outside on his steps, just as his father. But there is no father around, so we can just assume that this kid's not going to have any parents after this. Poor Billy. Let's not dwell on that one either.
Yeah. When the trick-or-treaters came to the door, you could also see Sam in the background.
Watching.
Yes.
Making sure he follows the rules.
Yep.
Pumpkin is still around. She's hauling her pumpkins around town, doing her thing. Halloween night still, We are back to the robot and the sci-fi guy, and then we can see Sam going after her.
Yes, so when we see Sam and Krieger share an unspoken moment, Sam gets distracted by Emma blowing out the jack-o'-lantern across the street.
Yep.
And then we're back at the beginning.
And then the old man goes back inside after watching this go down. He goes back inside, and he's about to go sit down when his door knocks again. He goes back out to look, and well, it's the ghouls of the kids he killed, the kids that died under his care, the kids that he was, And then that's the end.
And then it cuts to a comic scene. And we see those children kill him throughout those comic panels. You didn't pay that much attention, did you?
Oh, I couldn't.
And then that is the end of Trick or Treat.
Indeed.
What are we using to rate it?
I like jack-o'-lanterns, but I also like the lollipops.
I want to do lollipops.
Okay. Well, what's your rating?
9, mostly because I can't give anything a 10. It is 9 out of 10, and it is something that I will always rewatch. I love rewatching this movie because you always find things you didn't notice before. Yeah. There's so many things sprinkled throughout it that you don't realize.
It's a very busy movie.
Also, it has the best tagline ever. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
It turns out Timothy did not remember.
I'm going to go with no.
I mean, it's like I can't remember the.
It's a poison, drowning, claw, or knife. So many ways to take a life.
Yeah, and I was like, by knife, by claw.
You have to end with knife. Because it rhymes with life.
I'm not a poet, Sam.
Are you, and you didn't even know it?
I think
An 8? I find it funny because I rated Paranormal Activity lower. And you were like,
well,
what?
I mean, that's all right. No, I mean, like, my Paranormal Activity was an 8. This is an 8. You know, it's very enjoyable. I could see myself putting this on my Halloween rotation also if I was one of those people once again. I like the stories that kind of weave within each other and have these kind of complex and deep characters. You know?
Yeah. I like that this is very, like, kind of sitcom-y.
Kind of a what?
Like, kind of, like, the characters are kind of like sitcom-y. Characters you would find in a sitcom.
Oh, a situation comp. Oh. I was like, you are saying these words and I do not decipher them. Wow. Yes. I you know, and I don't even care that I'll be accused of being bandwagoning on this. Because it's like we established earlier, this is a movie that's continuing to gain popularity over the years as it's out, and there are talks for a sequel. But I mean, as of currently talking, it is late 2023. There is no. It hasn't been greenlit yet. We've got strikes all over the place. You know, it's yeah. So I do really enjoy it. It was refreshing because it's not a horror movie I'd typically pick out for myself. You know,
I love how it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No, and that's the important part about these movies is that you can't take yourself seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're talking about a pumpkin child, for God's sake. You know, it's like
pumpkin demon child size, though. I wouldn't call it a child.
Halloween demigod.
It's a child size pumpkin demon. There you go. That's what I was trying to say.
Fun size.
Yes.
Short king.
So, Quinn Lord's stunt double for this, the child who played Sam, is obviously the one up on the ceiling and stuff. She was a 5'7" gymnast, which I find really interesting.
Yeah.
And makes complete sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, jeez. Any other parting words?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well,
I think that concludes our ramble about my favorite Halloween movie.
Next week, Halloween.
Gotta kick off the month of Halloween with a classic.
Mm-hmm. So the month of October for us, there will be costumes for the visual watchers. We can't promise these will come out in October, but you know the spirit will be there nonetheless. And so we're kicking things off with Halloween next week. Please be sure to tune in. Do you want to say goodbye, Sam?
Bye.
Thank you for joining us this evening. Please go out and be spooky. We'll be here, waiting.